Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of Monday Night Raw for June the 15th, 2020, one night removed from the Backlash pay-per-view, which featured the greatest wrestling match ever, with the greatest injury ever, perhaps. Although I do feel bad about Edge getting hurt. It's all jokes, whatnot. Seriously, hope Edge will recover soon from his torn triceps injury. That was the big news story heading into Raw. Sticky B with a $2 super chat, first one of the evening, says, all petite wrestling is WWE light. Well, thank you for that comment, Sticky B. Let's go ahead and get started with Raw, which was the first Raw of the new era. Bruce Pritchard now running both shows. Josh Mansfield with a $2 super chat says, well done, Bruce Pritchard. Excited for next week. Did this episode of Raw show any improvement? Let's go ahead and break it down. We had Randy Orton come out to start the show, and it was brought up how Edge suffered the torn triceps injury, had surgery, which will likely put him out of action for the rest of the year, perhaps. Orton thanked Edge for reigniting the fire in his gut. Orton has now been reminded what it's like to be the legend killer. Orton said maybe one day, maybe 9 years from now, him and Edge will reunite again. This led to Christian coming out. And there was a big rumor about Christian and a possible spoiler for this show that something big was going to go down. Christian came into the ring and called Randy Orton a cold, calculating son of a bitch. He said Edge will come back and Edge will have closure on his own terms. Orton said that Christian is just jealous of his friend because Edge came back and Christian did not come back. Christian retired. Orton proposed the idea of one more match. Him versus Christian. Christian said absolutely not. He's just there to defend his friend. And Orton brought up the idea of them having an unsanctioned match where Christian, even though he is not medically cleared, the two of them fight and they can settle their beef. And Orton gave Christian an ultimatum. Christian would have, by the end of the show, to accept Orton's challenge. Asim with a $2 super chat, thank you for that, says, Seth and Randy are great heels. Hope that great things are ahead for them. Well, Randy Orton is definitely getting into that son of a bitch territory, just like Christian alluded to during this opening segment. And I like this because for the first time in a long time, we had something built up for the end of the show. And we had this show-long storyline where Christian was backstage, not sure what he was going to do, and we'll talk about all that. But not too often where we had something like this at the beginning of the show to set up something at the end, keep the viewers invested throughout the 3 hours. It's been a while since we've seen something like that on Raw. We had Angel Garza and Zelina Vega backstage. Angel Garza said he was just trying to help Andrade at the pay-per-view. Andrade appeared, wished Angel Garza good luck against Kevin Owens. We then had this match, Owens versus Garza, and Andrade pretty much immediately came out to watch the match. There was dissension between them. Zelina Vega walked off. She was just fed up with this. And then Andrade got on the apron, tried to distract Owens, but it backfired. Owens hit the stunner on Garza. 1, 2, 3 to pick up the win. Zelina Vega returned. She yelled at both guys, said that they need to start fighting together instead of against each other. Hamp Kano with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Hamp. Says, I've said for years the main storyline should take up the entire show like it did tonight. I agree. This was definitely a throwback to an older Raw from a different era where you would have a show-long storyline and keep people invested to see how it plays out. Thank you again for that, Hamp. We had MVP backstage with Bobby Lashley. MVP very upset, of course, saying that Lashley was cheated out of an opportunity. And MVP said that they would address it. They went to the ring. MVP said Lashley's night was ruined. Lana came down to the ring. MVP said that Lana just wants attention. And it's exclusively her fault for what happened with Lashley failing to win the WWE title at Backlash. We had some back and forth here between MVP and Lana. And she said she would do nothing to ever hurt her Bobby. She loves him. He's her husband. And she said MVP is the problem. Everything was fine until MVP came along. MVP responded by saying that she is a thought. And I actually had to look this phrase up. I've seen it on social media, and it's not a very nice term to use towards a woman. She was furious about this. She told MVP to lower his tone. And Lashley chimed in saying that Lana could not follow one simple request. Lana said that if she was going to use Lashley and she was going to use her sex appeal, she would have slept with somebody more famous than Lashley, like Drew McIntyre. Lashley blew up over this and said he wants a divorce. So it looks like the marriage is over between these two. I enjoyed this segment. Very soap opera-ish, but I liked it. I thought it was fun. And this is the best thing WWE has done with Lana, in my opinion, since the peak of the Rusev storyline. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, though. But if you're going to utilize Lana, this was a good way to do it. And they've been building up for this over the past several weeks. TJS with a $5 super chat says, who is hotter, Liv or Bayley? Also, is the Edge injury a blessing in disguise? He needs to wrestle in packed stadiums, not small venues. MVP equals Saul Goodman. Well, no comment on who is hotter. I mean, I would probably go with Liv, so I guess there's your comment. Just my own personal taste if I was going to pick one, since you're putting me on the spot. Edge's injury, maybe, perhaps. I think that Edge ultimately is better to have with fans. Then again, I would say pretty much everything is better to have with fans. So it's hard to say. I feel bad for Edge in a way because he came back at the Rumble, great return, and then COVID-19 happened. He had his WrestleMania match, but it wasn't the same. He had this match with Orton where WWE billed it as the greatest wrestling match ever, and then he gets hurt. So not exactly an ideal comeback, but still good comeback for Edge, and I'm sure he'll come back from this. DYEV with a $5 super chat, thank you for that, says, hey Aaron, will you get WWE 21, the COVID no audience edition? I will not. Even if there was a crowd, I would not get WWE 21. I'm not buying any WWE game until they go back to the No Mercy style that I grew up and loved. Kid Terminated by Google with a $2 super chat says, I'm surprised that Lana didn't went in a coma. Well, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Are you trying to say that you're surprised that Lana was not beaten up by last year MVP? I'm not sure what you meant by that comment. Maybe I completely misinterpreted it. Anyways, let's move on here. We had a recap of the Street Profits versus the Viking Raiders. And we had all these different segments shown, a little bit of footage from the Backlash pay-per-view with the cinematic match, if you want to call it a match. The two teams were interviewed. They're cool with each other now, apparently. And all of a sudden, Akira Tozawa and his ninjas appeared. And the Profits basically said that they would be willing to throw down any time. That's when the big ninja came in and Tozawa started laughing like a maniac. Montez Ford said he has an idea. The Profits and the Raiders came to the ring and they fought Tozawa and the Ninjas. This was Ford's master plan to wrestle these guys in the ring. Babyfaces won, of course. Double frog splashes. Took out the Ninjas relatively easily. This was the wackiest tag team, I think, since Shawn Michaels and Jerry Lawler's Knights back in '93, or the team Doink. Doink, Dink, Pink, and Link against Jerry Lawler and his guys, his little people. Crazy storyline here, that's for sure. Then all of a sudden, if things were not weird enough, we had The Big Show come out. The Big Show is back. And he's a babyface again. Another face turn for The Big Show. Last time we saw him, he fought Drew McIntyre as a heel after coming out as a babyface. And now, he's a good guy again. He came out, he beat up the Ninjas, and the Big Ninja was out there. The Big Ninja backed off when Big Show came out. So maybe at some point we will see this epic showdown between the Big Show and the Big Ninja. I'm actually curious to see if they actually do a match with these guys. It could be the worst thing of all time, but I am mildly intrigued by this. And Ken clarified his earlier super chat with another $5 super chat. Thank you, Ken. Says, remember when Linda McMahon went into a coma when Vince divorced her? I thought it was crazy until Vince treated Trish like a dog. Well, I guess they could always go in that direction now. Maybe Lana becomes so upset that she goes into a coma, but based off of what happened later on this show, I don't think that's the direction. You never know, though. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat, thank you for that, says, I can't seem to get into Montez Ford, don't know why. Well, as I've said before, I feel like he's a great wrestler, he's very athletic, but the comedy is hit and miss, and I think that's the biggest problem. Although he did not bother me on this show as much as other shows. He felt a little bit more natural than previous episodes of Raw. Now, I don't know if that is Bruce Pritchard versus Paul Heyman, but he did come off more authentic than usual just my own personal perspective on it. And I could be completely wrong on that. Maybe nothing has changed, but something felt different, and it was for the better, I think. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, Big Show's farts are more over than Jackson Riker. Well, that I think is pretty accurate. I think as much as fans like to crap on Big Show, I think he's more popular than Jackson Riker has ever been in his career up to this point. Hank Schrader on the shitter. Great username there. You guys know I love that one. With a $5 super chat says, turned it on when Sasha Banks came out looking super sexy, then changed it as soon as the Iconics said, Wambulance, ugh, cringe. Well, we'll get to that in a few minutes here. Thank you for that again, Hank Schrader on the shitter. We had Christian on the phone, and he was not sure what he was going to do, but he said he cannot let Randy Orton get away with besmirching his good name. He actually did not use that term. That's a William Regal term, but basically he's not going to let Randy Orton disrespect him. We had the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins, come out. He said that Rey Mysterio is a hero for sacrificing himself for the greater good. Unfortunately, Mysterio took the coward's way out and did not show up to Monday Night Raw. However, Dominic showed up. Dominic flew out to say something to the Monday Night Messiah. That's when Rey Mysterio appeared on the big screen. Mysterio did not know that Dominic was coming to Raw, and he gave Rollins a warning. Do not hurt Dominic, or else Mysterio will end the Monday Night Messiah. Seth Rollins responded by saying that Dominic is an adult and he can do whatever he wants. He can make his own decisions. And Rollins said that Dominic can do one of two things. Either join the disciples or become a sacrifice. That's when Dominic snuck into the ring, attacked Rollins. Murphy and Theory came out. They tried to get their hands on Dominic, but Dominic managed to escape through the crowd, which, by the way, I forgot to mention that some of the fans in attendance were actual fans, well, kind of, like family and friends of people in WWE. But it wasn't just all Performance Center recruits. And by the way, another breaking news story as I'm doing this, apparently somebody in WWE's developmental center tested positive for COVID-19, and WWE issued a statement on it. You can read that over at NoDQ.com. Infamous Christian sent in a $2 super chat. I missed his super chat because it was off topic, which, by the way, why you guys got to stick to the topic, because I'll be more likely to miss it if it's off topic. He says, do you believe that Moxley and Cody Rhodes be in WWE? Not anytime soon. If you're asking me, will they be back in WWE someday? If that was your question. Don't think so. I mean, probably one day, but not for a long time. And Infamous Christian says, well, he said the same thing. Do I see Cody or Moxley ever returning? Both of them eventually, but probably not for a long time. And we're talking at least 5 years, if not longer. Josh Mansfield with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Josh. Says, Dominic looked great. Can't wait to see him wrestle. Yeah, so far everything Dominic has been doing has been good, in my opinion. And I thought this was a really good angle here. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, Dominic needs a last name or nickname. Yeah, there's always time to come up with something like that, but yeah, Dominic Mysterio might not be the most marketable name, in my opinion. So We'll see if they can come up with something else. Maybe it'll catch on. First of all, I feel like nobody knows how to spell his name. I've seen like 3 different spellings of it online from various different outlets. I just try to go by what Wikipedia posts, but then again, does the Wikipedia person know the correct spelling? That's the question. Dominic Del Rio. That has more of a ring to it than Dominic Mysterio. I hate to say it. We had R-Truth backstage, and he went up to MVP and Lashley. He offered his he couldn't think of the word. And MVP was like, condolences? And R-Truth was like, no, of course not. I would never say something like that. So we got some comedy here with R-Truth, MVP, and Bob the Lash. R-Truth said he feels bad that Lashley got sent to Claymore Country. He doesn't even know where that is. And after the commercial break, we had another segment with R-Truth under the ring looking for McIntyre. McIntyre finally showed up, and MVP called McIntyre a pretender, while Lashley is a contender. MVP then proposed a match, a winner-take-all match, where McIntyre and R-Truth would put their championships on the line in a tag team match. R-Truth accepted right away for both of them. McIntyre was like, all right, we'll do it. And then he gave R-Truth this dirty look like, you idiot, what are you doing here? Because in this type of match, McIntyre can lose the title without being pinned. We had a tag team match. We had Liv Morgan and Natalya against the Iconics. Morgan had the match won with a roll-up, but the referee was distracted. Iconics then hit their finisher on Liv, pinned her, and then they cut a brief promo saying that this is what happens when they fight one team and not 2 teams. They then called out Bayley and Sasha Banks for a 1 team versus 1 team tag title match on Raw. However, there was no response. And the Iconics said that they know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody that will get them a match on next week's show. Backstage, we had the Big Show chatting it up with Christian, called him Jay, his shoot name. And Big Show tried to warn Christian to not do the match, saying that he's never seen Randy Orton this sadistic. However, if Randy Orton disrespected him, the Big Show, Randy Orton would be getting punched in the face. Ken terminated by Google with a $5 super chat says, can Dominic call himself Rey Mysterio Jr.? Chavo Guerrero wasn't called Chavo Jr. like in WCW. WWE doesn't like Jr. In case you haven't noticed over the past decade or 2 decades, usually the Junior gets dropped. WWE, Vince in particular, just doesn't like calling people Junior. Vince himself got rid of the Junior. He's not Vince McMahon Jr. He's just Vince McMahon. So, and Rey Mysterio is Rey Mysterio Jr. So Dominic would be Rey Mysterio the Third, I guess. There you go. RM3. They could rip off EC3 and make him RM3. There you go. Maybe I just came up with his name in WWE. Jeremy said Ted DiBiase Jr. I thought they dropped the Junior. I thought he was only Junior for like 6 months and then he became just Ted DiBiase. That's what I remember at least. So Natalya was backstage, very frustrated. She lashed out at Liv, said that Liv lacks vision and discipline, and she kind of understands why Ruby Riott parted ways with her. Liv walked out, very upset. Lana then came up to Natalya, and the two of them vented to each other and actually had this mutual understanding. So maybe this will be the new pairing. Maybe Lana will be moving on to managing Natalya as a heel. WWE's been building up a Natalya heel turn for the past few weeks, so doesn't look like that's getting dropped just because of the creative changes. Psycho Jet Black with the $2 super chat says, Vince McMahon Jr. sounds like a cartoon character. Probably why he decided to get rid of the Junior. We had Christian interviewed on the stage, and he said he's got nothing to prove to Orton, but he's not going to be disrespected. And if Orton wants to give him one more match, he took off his jacket and he accepted. We had MVP approach Apollo Crews backstage, said that there's a difference between a smart champion and a fighting champion. Apollo said that if he's not a fighting champion, he's not a champion at all. MVP wanted to recruit Apollo to his faction, manage him basically, but Apollo politely declined the offer. MVP said that Apollo will only remain U.S. champion with him in his corner. We had a brief segment with Ric Flair and Charlotte chatting it up backstage. Not much noteworthy here. And then we had Apollo versus Shelton Benjamin. I like that Shelton got an entrance, and Shelton also had a little picture-in-picture promo. Said that Apollo better win this match, because if he doesn't, then Apollo's going to need MVP, and hopefully for Apollo, that manager offer will still be on the table. Shelton Benjamin attempted to cheat during this match, use his feet on the ropes. However, the referee caught him. And then Apollo managed to turn the tables and go for a pin on Benjamin. However, he decided to use the ropes for leverage. Apollo grabbed the rope. Referee did not see it. 1, 2, 3. Apollo defeats Shelton Benjamin. Now, this was a little subtle. I think this was a subtle tease for a heel turn, because, yes, it was, what goes around comes around. Fight fire with fire. But still, Apollo was compromised. He bended the rules to win a match. So I'm curious to see where this goes. I like it. We got subtle storytelling here. If Apollo is going heel, this was a nice way to start moving in that direction. So good stuff here. I liked this a lot. And then we had Akira Tozawa and his ninjas confront R-Truth backstage. One of the ninjas was wearing a referee shirt. R-Truth started doing that ninja stance, and that's when Drew McIntyre walked up behind R-Truth. Tozawa and the ninjas got scared. They took off. R-Truth thought he scared them off. And Drew McIntyre basically tried to give a pep talk to R-Truth to start taking things seriously for their tag team match. We had a recap of Asuka and Nia Jax, their whole storyline. Asuka cut a promo saying she's going to finish this once and for all. Then we had more from R-Truth and Drew McIntyre. R-Truth said that according to the powers that be, only the WWE title will be on the line in the tag team match. And Truth talked about how he gets it. He understands why McIntyre is so upset. Truth knows how painful it is to lose a title. It only took him 2 or 3 days to win it back, but he managed to win his title back. If he can do it, Drew McIntyre can do it. So I enjoyed this. Pretty funny stuff here, although I'm sure some people did not like the comedy segments being in the main event, but I thought it was pretty funny. I have to admit I did enjoy it. Guilty pleasure, I guess you could call it. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says the ninjas are more entertaining than aces and eights. Yeah, I would agree with you on that. But were they more entertaining than the ninjas that abducted Samoa Joe? That's the question. Backstage, we had Viking Raiders chatting it up with Street Profits some more. A lot of talking segments on this show, more than usual, and multiple segments with the same people, but it was spread out over the course of the show, which, as you guys know, I prefer over just having the same three people out there for 45 minutes. We had the Vikings proposing a chariot race to settle their who can do it better competition. Big Show then showed up, and the Street Profits gave Show some props, offered him a t-shirt, which was way too small for the Big Show. And then Big Show said he has an idea to settle this feud between the tag teams. One of the Viking Raiders, it might have been Ivar, not sure, suggested a carpool karaoke. Big Show was like, no more carpool karaokes. But instead, Big Show suggested a tag team match for the tag team titles. The other guys thought that this was genius. What an idea. Settle this with a match. Then they all started dancing. Segment was goofy as hell, but again, I enjoyed it. It was the right goofy for me, at least. And I don't know, for some reason it felt more authentic and not as forced as other weeks. It felt like these guys were just being themselves and doing their own thing and not being micromanaged by Vince as to what to do to be funny. The legendary Mike B with a $3 super chat, giving the thumbs up animated GIF. I appreciate that, Mike B. Thank you. So we had a tag team match between Drew McIntyre and R-Truth against Bobby Lashley and MVP. Truth tagged himself in and then started getting beat up immediately by the heels. Drew McIntyre managed to eventually tag himself back in, hit the Claymore to MVP, and then Truth wanted a tag. McIntyre obliged, and Truth came in with a big splash, pinned MVP, so we get our happy ending. Drew McIntyre retains the WWE title, and R-Truth gets a victory here. It's something other than a 24/7 roll-up. So there you go. Good stuff. We had Ric Flair with Christian backstage, said that Christian is not ready for this. Orton is at the top of his game. Christian said he appreciates Flair's concern, but he's not going to regret going out there and being a man and facing Randy Orton. We had Sasha Banks and Bayley come out. It was Bayley's birthday, so Bayley said that they are going to do a whole week of celebrating. Starting on Raw, they're going to go to NXT, beat Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart. Then we had the Iconics come out and said that they want an answer to their challenge from earlier. Bayley said they already lost at Backlash. The Iconics reminded Bayley and Sasha that they beat Bayley and Sasha at WrestleMania to win the women's tag team titles, and brought up how Bayley and Sasha had these mental breakdowns. Peyton then slapped Sasha. Bayley was very angry about her bestie getting slapped and accepted the match for next week's show. I enjoyed this. I thought this was entertaining again. Then we had Nia Jax versus Asuka, which was probably the low point of the show for me, just because we're into the third hour and it's Nia Jax. But hey, almost the end of the show. It took almost the end of the show before I felt like Raw was starting to drag. Usually, at least the last couple of months, it's the end of the first hour where I'm like, can this show be over already? And it wasn't until this match where I was like, yeah, I'm kind of ready to call it a night here and do my live stream and go to bed. So Nia Jax powerbombed Asuka on the floor. We had a commercial break. And then back in the ring, Nia ended up shoving the referee. Referee was going to DQ Nia. And that's when Asuka rolled her up. Referee was like, to hell with Nia Jax. Referee went over, did a fast count, and Asuka retained her championship. Interesting storyline here, I must say, with the referee counting out Nia Jax when she was supposed to be DQ'd. So I guess this feud continues. I am curious to see where it goes. So again, WWE's got me interested about where this storyline is going, and that's a good thing. Then we had Randy Orton cut his final promo for the main event segment, saying that the legend of Christian will be destroyed by the three most dominant letters in sports entertainment, RKO. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, I would rather watch a Judy Bagwell dance to Nia Jax's match. Ouch. That might be the savage line of the night right there. So we had what was supposed to be this street fight, unsanctioned match between Christian and Randy Orton. Ric Flair came out and he once again asked Christian to not do the match. Christian said he was doing it, and the bell rang, and then Ric Flair immediately gave Christian a low blow, effectively going heel again. Maybe Ric Flair's trying to top Big Show for the biggest number of heel and face turns. The legendary Mike B sent in a $2 super chat saying, damn you, Ric Flair. Randy Orton then immediately hit a punt on Christian and then pinned him 1, 2, 3 to win this match. We had officials come out. They brought out a stretcher. Randy Orton cut this promo on Christian in the ring, saying he really did not want to do this, but it's his livelihood versus Christian, and in the end, Randy's going to do what's best for him. And he apologized, but had no remorse. He did what he felt he had to do. So really good angle to end Raw. What does this mean about Christian? Is he going to wrestle again? Just a couple months ago, Christian said that WWE would not clear him to even do an angle with Randy Orton to set up the Orton and Edge match at WrestleMania, and now he's doing a physical angle. He got a low blow. He took the punt. So where does this go? Edge is out of action for the time being. Very intriguing end to Raw. Big angle to close out the show. I definitely see Orton versus McIntyre at some point. Josh Mansfield with a $2 super chat says, Orton versus Christian at Extreme Rules? Hey, anything's possible. Never say never, right? I mean, seems like if Edge can get cleared, maybe Christian can get cleared. We saw Daniel Bryan get cleared. Guys are getting cleared. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, Christian versus Ric Flair Iron Man match at SummerSlam? That I do not see happening. If there's one thing I think I could safely say, Ric Flair will not have a one-on-one match in WWE again. I mean, maybe a tag match where he tags in and does one move like, what Bret Hart did at SummerSlam years ago. Oofman Entertainment with a $5 super chat says, maybe AEW offered Christian a contract and WWE found out? Well, apparently that was what happened with Edge, so you never know. I mean, WWE has done some interesting things when people have even remotely shown interest in something related to AEW. I mean, hell, even when Undertaker did StarCast, which is allegedly not affiliated with AEW at all, WWE freaked out and signed Undertaker to this very long contract. So anyways, let's go ahead and do the letter grade for Raw. I really enjoyed Raw, and this might be unpopular, but I thought this was the best Raw of the pandemic. And I'm going to do something I haven't done in a while. I'm giving Raw an A-. First A I've given Raw maybe since the pandemic started, and maybe the entire year. I mean, I thought this was a really fun Raw to watch. And for a 3-hour show, too, with limited fans. I thought it was a very fun show. Felt like an old school Raw with a lot of storylines, and they were intertwined throughout the show. It definitely felt like an Attitude Era show in terms of how it was structured. Very fast-paced, too, which I appreciate. Hamp Connor with a $2 super chat says, Christian versus Orton, Judy Bagwell on a forklift match. You are really obsessed with Judy Bagwell, I gotta say. And Psycho Jet Black with the $2 super chat says, why wasn't Christian pushed hard in WWE like Edge? I think Vince just did not see Christian at that level. You know, that whole line about the creepy little bastard, I think that was probably how Vince really felt about Christian, that he just didn't look like a star. And if Vince doesn't think you're a star, then it's going to be a very uphill battle to become a star. So anyways, letter grades. Dylan gave it a B-. Michael Wynn with a B+. Jesse Aaron Das says A- easily. DYEV with an A-. Nice. And Jeremy Dorset with an A-. Nathan Washington with an A-. Aftermatch Wrestling with a B+. Not sure if that's Stefan or Colin or Jerry using that handle. JD from New York apparently thought Bruce Era Raw sucks, but is that really a shock to anybody? I mean, he's like what, one show in 2020? That was WWE at least. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, oh, I already read that one. My bad. Hamp Connor with a $2 super chat says, well, she is the greatest tag team champion in history. And I've already forgotten what that's a reference to, so my apologies. Asim with a $2 super chat says, what's the latest on SummerSlam? Will there be fans? Well, I did post something on No DQ earlier today that WWE is hoping to have fans back by the end of the summer, and there was a report about Vince wanting to have SummerSlam take place with fans. I want to see it be on the beach. Like, if all else fails, just do it at the beach. It's outside. You could do general admission. People can have their temperatures checked before they come in. Have them be socially distant. Space out. Wear masks. But, you know, if there was ever a time to use a WCW concept, bring back Bash at the Beach for SummerSlam. Just like they did in '95 at Huntington Beach. I think that would be a cool concept, and that's a way you could get fans in an outdoor setting where the risks would be limited. And Hamp Connell, $2 super chat says, Judy and Rick Steiner versus Buff and Scott in WCW. Oh, so you were referencing Judy Bagwell. Why are you so obsessed with Judy Bagwell? Yikes. This is like almost as bad as the Bart Gunn obsession that is in this chat room from time to time. Psycho Jet Black with a $5 super chat says, would you rather get an autograph from Lars Sullivan or Bart Gunn? Also, Big Show has more charisma in his poop than Ricochet ever had. Some of these super chats, you guys, are crazy. I'd rather have an autograph from Bart Gunn because he actually won something in his WWE career. Oh! Poor Lars Sullivan. I mean, I thought the guy had some potential, but unfortunately, you cannot make a living on potential. And Ken Terminated by Google sent in a $5 super chat, which I almost missed. He said, I know you have very low hopes for Bray Wyatt, but are you intrigued by the return of the Firefly Funhouse? I still have hope for The Fiend. No, not really. I mean, I think this is not the way to go to reintroduce him. Like, I would have just had him show up as The Fiend and lay out Braun Strowman to say, hey, you beat Firefly Bray, Mr. Rogers, but now you have to deal with The Fiend. Like, why do we need another Mr. Rogers Bray promo for whatever he's hyping up, whether it's Strowman or not? I would have just gone straight to The Fiend if I was booking it. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for tonight. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please keep spreading the word. Stay tuned this week. Episode 100 of the No DQ Review coming up this Thursday, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. And we will not have technical issues, at least I hope so. Knock on wood. Take care, everybody. Be safe. Stay positive, and I will see you all next time.